I think it's safe to say I was not a fan of the final season of Game of Thrones. Really? Bran? Bran! Hi everyone, I'm Steve Warren, and welcome to the YouTube version of the Steve Warren Project. Every Friday I'm going to try and upload a new video talking about what's going on in the world of sports. This is the one day of the week where we're not really doing any podcasting on stevewproject.com, sports and whatever. By the way, a thank you to everybody who has checked us out, subscribed, liked, shared, become a Patreon member at stevewproject.com. It's been really overwhelming to see the feedback and the number of people who are checking it out. Today, though, we want to talk a little bit about the Ottawa Senators hiring of a new head coach. After many weeks of discussion, 7 names in the mix, it ends up being DJ Smith. This is a guy they actually tried to hire, or at least talk to in 2016 when they were looking for Dave Cameron's successor. The Leafs at the time said, no, he's only been here a year. We don't want you talking to him right now. So scratch him off the list. They end up hiring Guy Boucher in Ottawa. And now fast forward to 2019, Guy Boucher and now Mark Crawford, the interim coach, are both out and DJ Smith is in. And having met the guy today, did an interview for Faces Magazine and for the Steve Warren Project podcast with DJ Smith. I was really impressed with the guy. The guy's a lot going for him. He's super likable. He's very, very real. Just a guy that I think would be a natural leader of men, good communicator, smart, knows his hockey. So he was everything I hoped for as a Sens fan, meeting a head coach for the first time. So I understand why the Sens were impressed by this guy. Does any of that, though, equate to him being a good head coach? I'm keeping an open mind, but of course the answer to that is no. If it were about being nice and a good communicator, many of you should have been on that short list to be the next head coach of the Ottawa Senators. And what you can say is DJ Smith's got a great junior resume, like really, really good. Memorial Cups as an assistant and as a head coach. So he's done it all there. He served his time as an assistant coach, learning from Mike Babcock in Toronto. And now it's time to see what he can do as a head coach. None of that guarantees anything. And all the things I talk about in terms of having had a chance to meet him, it's reminiscent somewhat of the Guy Boucher hiring 3 years ago. We had him in studio. We had a chance to spend about an hour with him. And at the time, I was doing a little coaching as well with girls hockey in the competitive ranks. And so I was really immersed in it, fascinated by it. What systems are you running? All that kind of thing. And I was blown away by Guy Boucher's knowledge, his ability to communicate well, really nice guy. So take all this with a grain of salt. But I preface this by I want to drive home. I'm really understanding today why the Ottawa Senators were impressed with this guy. I think most of the fan base, at least that I've heard from on social media, has had angst about it. I mean, anything the Sens do now, it feels like there's a good portion of the fan base that's going to have that angst. I mean, they could, they could hand out $100,000 to every fan who buys season tickets this year, and people would still find a way to, be against that somehow. But so Sens fans are in a bit of a show me state right now, and understandably so. But a lot of people, I think, were going off on this hiring based entirely on the fact that they'd never heard of the guy, as though that is a barometer for what's to come. Like, everybody who went on to be a great coach was unfamous at some point. Scotty Bowman, Hall of Famer, one of the greats of all time, Stanley Cup rings up the wazoo. Well, there was a day when he took his first NHL coaching job, and everybody said, "Who's this guy?" You got to get your start somewhere. And I'm always cautious with that. We were talking about sports trades. I've never heard of that guy we got for the superstar. I think of Erik Karlsson leaving town. I think of Mark Stone leaving town. Let's use the Vegas example. Erik Brandstrom is ending up an Ottawa Senator as part of the Mark Stone trade. Everybody loves Mark Stone, great hockey player, and Sens fans got robbed of probably another 4 or 5 years of Mark Stone in his prime, excellence every night. is frustrating for sure. But Brandstrom is going to be, I think, a great hockey player. Like, his puck skill is off the charts, but most have never heard of him. So they make the assumption that he can't possibly be any kind of replacement for Mark Stone. Well, not now, but maybe 2-3 years from now, we'll feel differently. I thought the same. Delino DeShields, my favorite Montreal Expo, and they got rid of him to the LA Dodgers, and they got Pedro Martinez back. Who's Pedro Martinez? What kind of schlep rock is Pedro Martinez? You came up to Delino DeShields. So because there's a relative anonymity that goes with DJ Smith, we shouldn't jump to conclusions. He might be great, or he might be yet another coach on the Sens scrap pile of fired coaches. We just don't know. Anyway, we'll keep our fingers crossed that the Sens get things going under DJ Smith. Like I say, I like the guy, and he's off to a good start for what that's worth in a media tour. Thanks for being with us. I want to remind everybody that you can, if you click like and subscribe here, and click on the bell as well, it'll tell you when there are new videos up. Thanks again to everybody who's been listening to the podcast. You can check it out. We got 40 episodes now. That was fast. And you can check that out at stevewproject.com. Subscribe, be a member through our Patreon stuff. So thanks for everything, and we'll talk to you again next time.